Hi, you're on the Alice Reddit Stories channel. Subscribe to my channel as well as to my Facebook, the link is in the description. Enjoy watching. Oop's coworker is a stalker and a neighbor. Original, former coworker is still my neighbor, December 6, 2018. Summer 2017, I was working at a pharmacy. I had been there for 4 years. A new staff pharmacist around my age, 28 at the time, was hired. He seemed odd, but I was nice to him because everyone else was rude to him immediately, and I felt bad. He asked me way too many questions, some I answered and others crossed boundaries, questions about ex-boyfriends. Fast forward a month, he said that he was moving. He lived on the east side of my city, and he said that he was moving to the west side, where I live. He said that he actually found a house near the intersection of where I live. I asked him what street and he wouldn't tell me. He also said that the owner will live there for a few more months, so I forgot about it. Fast forward a few months later, and my mom and stepdad told me they met our new neighbor. Our house is one house away from the intersecting street. This house is on the intersecting street, so we are one house away, but the backyards connect. My mom said he seemed like a really nice young man. The next time I worked with him, I asked if that was him, and he said no. I let it go for a little bit. Then another time, he started asking me questions, describing my backyard and asking if my street name started with the letter that it did. So he admitted it was him. I asked him how he knew it was my house. He said he saw me in the backyard. He decided not to say anything to me. The next few months were weird. I was still friendly with him as a coworker, but he crossed some boundaries. He knew my birthday was coming up. My birthday and address are in the pharmacy database, and my brother was asking for ideas for what to get for me. I wanted a certain phone case, so I was browsing on my phone to send my brother links to the ones I wanted. He would always look over my shoulder when I was on my phone. He saw the type of phone case, he got me the phone case and a $150 pre-loaded Visa gift card. I told him, in a very professional manner, that I felt the gift was inappropriate and probably against company policy. I walked over to his mailbox while he was at work to return it. He kept putting it back in my mailbox with messages of begging me to accept it because I make him so happy. I ended up giving it away. Not much longer after that, I took my coworker, not him, a female, to the zoo. I had some of it on my Snapchat story. He kept messaging me on Snapchat asking questions about it, and it was bothering me, so I blocked him. After that, he called my mother. He got her hashtag from when they first met, and told her that he needed to talk to her. He told her he needed to come over and talk to her, so she invited him in and they talked. I was very alarmed by this, but she thought it was endearing. I told him once again at work that he crossed boundaries, and he said that he does everything that he does because he cares about me. He didn't understand where I was coming from at all. Those were the most standout things he has done. Also a lot of pestering about tell me who your boyfriend is and trying to look at pictures in my phone to figure it out, going through coworkers' phones and reading their conversations with me, even impersonating them while I was not at work to get info. One time he even cornered me at work and wouldn't let me leave until I told him what characteristics I look for in a guy. He also was mad at me when I got a birth control prescription filled, even though it was being used to correct hormonal problems from another birth control. I started being mean to him at work because I couldn't take it anymore. He then told me that I was treating him that way because he is a nice guy who cares about me and that I am looking for a jerk. It became a very hostile work environment, and I left about 2 months ago. This is a side note, other coworkers and neighbors hate him because he likes to start confrontations. He also plays he said she said with people for entertainment. The neighbors have called the police on him and think he is crazy. I haven't heard from him at all since leaving, but I saw my former coworker last week at a get-together and she said that he is trying to get her to tell him where I work now. He told her that he sees me getting into my car every morning, so he knows I have a job. I told my mom this and she didn't take it seriously. She never believed I was in danger. I would just like to get an outside perspective. When I come home late, I run to the door, and if no one is home, I will wait to take a shower. I'm still scared. Update on Stalker I posted about 4 years ago, October 27, 2022. Hi everyone, here is an update from a post I made a few years ago about a scary neighbor. Last night I looked out the window and there were multiple police cars and an ambulance. I found out later that my neighbor married a young girl from the same country as him. She doesn't speak much English and doesn't have family here. She has been here a few months. He has seldom let her leave the house, even to go in the backyard. My other neighbors managed to catch her outdoors once or twice and managed to get her phone number. She said he has cameras all over the house and outside. Last night, he was beating on her and accusing her of cheating, and the cops were called. After that, he shut off her phone service. Last night, he attacked her with a knife and my neighbors heard her screaming and they called the cops for her. She says he was trying to kill her. She was taken away by an ambulance and he was arrested. Multiple guns and knives were found in the house. I'm going to cut this post short because I'm typing this on a tablet with no keyboard and it is getting cumbersome. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing. Thank you. I am 37, my boyfriend is 37. We have dated, on and off, for 4 years. Since he wanted to pursue his career dream and we were also living in different countries, we weren't officially together for the first couple of years. We were on a break for a few months once 2 years ago. At that period, he dated another girl for a couple of weeks and that girl threatened suicide. He was so traumatized by that event and he told me about that. Last year, I was diagnosed with a gynecological disease. He flew to my country plus quarantined for 21 days in total just to accompany me to have the surgery. Since then, we decided we shouldn't stay apart anymore. He moved to my country a year ago and started a life with me here. He tried so hard to work here and treated me well. He brought me to meet all of his friends and his parents, and he also suggested going registered with me for many times. However, deep down I knew he wasn't happy because he always felt miserable about his career, and he started to develop some anger issues. I asked him what happened and he wouldn't tell me that. He said it's the guy's privacy. In addition, we had an almost sexless life after he came back to live with me. We had really good sex before all the above incidents happened. I asked him why and he was always embarrassed and just told me because he was older now and also because of the surgery I did. He didn't feel comfortable touching me. He also mentioned buying sildenafil. I thought he was joking and I didn't want him to feel bad, so I just made some jokes and finished this topic. 1 year has passed. Last month, I felt something off. I checked his phone and I found him sexting with another girl. It was someone who he hadn't contacted for 10 years. It had only started for 2 weeks before I found out. He was going back and forth with this woman and she was sending him pictures. He was telling her how sexy she looked and that he wanted to fuck her, etc. He said, "Let's do it," but he never initiated a real meeting with her. At last, the woman took the initiative and asked him out for a coffee. He said he couldn't make it because he was busy that weekend. He asked her when she was usually free. The girl said Thursday and he just liked her message. That's the end of the whole conversation. Then I knew he didn't have the intention to go out because I was busy that week, and if he really went out with that girl, I wouldn't know about it. And from the conversation, I could tell he didn't have feelings for this girl at all. I confronted him. He said he would take full responsibility for his action and we should end this relationship because I wouldn't trust him anymore. He said never planned to meet that girl. He admitted that was cheating. He was sorry and he knew I would be so hurt after reading his conversation. I also agreed to break and I asked him to move away that night. 2 days later, we were calmer and I found him for a serious talk. He said he reflected and thought about the reasons why he did this. He said when he first came back to live with me, he said he just wanted to be my hero and he never wanted to tell me his weaknesses. He also told me something that he never told me before. He thought he was recovered from the suicidal girl's trauma, but he didn't. Together with the surgery he did with me, he felt he wanted to puke every time he wanted to have sex with me. He couldn't even get hard during the process. He has been struggling with his sex life for a long time. He even told his friend that he might need sildenafil a few months after he came back to live with me. He said he had reactions when he saw pictures of other girls/porn but not me, and I was supposed the girl he was going to spend his life with. He couldn't tell me all these because he was afraid it would hurt me. He also recalled the good sex we had had before and that he was very proud he could give me pleasure. He said it happened when one day he saw this girl's picture on social media. She was wearing a very low-cut dress and her boobs were so big. He said he had a really big reaction down there when he saw that picture, and he didn't have such a big reaction for a long time. And he started messaging her. He said it was like watching porn, and he also learned all the conversation from porn. And he swore he never planned to have physical with her. I trust him. He also told me about 2 childhood issues that still traumatized him and may lead him to sext. I totally understand. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. I knew he had mental health disorders, but he refused to consult a psychiatrist before. And after this incident, he said he finally admitted that he was sick, and he's willing to seek help from a professional. He was ashamed during the whole conversation because he didn't look at me once. We talked peacefully, we hugged and said goodbye. A month has passed. I love him and I miss him so much. We plan to get married soon. Among all my exes, he is the only one I want to marry to because we have the deepest connection. I was tempted to find him and to get through all the problems together, but his job nature, he gets to meet a lot of pretty girls, and his personality, he needs privacy so much because he was controlled by his mother when he grew up, make it harder. So, Reddit. I am so confused. Can and should I trust him? How do we move forward from here sexually? Thoughts, comments, or suggestions? Story 3: OOP is pregnant with soon-to-be ex-husband's baby, and somehow AP is mad. Post 1, September 9, 22 on r/relationship_advice. Husband won't come home to support me while grieving. And I feel so needy asking him to come. Trying to be as vague as I can possibly be without it affecting the story. So I, mid-20s, am married to Brad, also mid-20s. We currently have a long-distance relationship because he got a better work opportunity there and I couldn't move because I can't take my uni campus with me. I wasn't that thrilled about him moving a 5-hour drive away to a new country, but it being Europe, we figured that trains and buses will help ease the temporary experience. Plus he was overjoyed about it and I could never taint his happiness. Lately, something really bad happened to my life. Without getting into too much details, I am grieving really badly. Hours and days and weeks seem to blend into each other in this thick heavy mess, and I can't bring myself to get out of bed some days or put on trousers. He knows of the situation but can't do much being so far, so I asked him to come over. Here's where we get to the problem. His brother Chad moved to Brad's country to study. Brad said he can't come over because he has to show his brother the country and school and help him move, etc. He is planning to be his guide over the city for 2 weeks. I pleaded with him that I needed him, but he told me he is scared his parents will get mad at him if he doesn't take care of his brother like they want him to. I was heartbroken. I was venting to a friend, Denise, asking her if it is normal that I am so sad he won't come support me in these dark times, and she snapped at me. Told me I should be grateful I have a caring husband and to stop being fucking jealous of a teen. Chad is 19 and she knows it. Denise then ranted that I'm being ridiculous and an asshole, demanding he leave his baby brother behind to come coddle me like a child. She told me I needed to hear the truth of my actions from someone else. Now I feel like the worst human and the worst wife on the planet. I need advice on how to deal with this relationship conflict, and maybe be a bit less needy? Comments. I'm sorry you're depressed. Are you working with a doctor and therapist? I can appreciate that you'd like him to come see you, but wouldn't that mean he has to miss work as well? If he's already taking these 2 weeks off, is there a compromise? Like, could he show his brother around the first week, then come see you for a few days? I guess I just don't see what he can really do for you other than be present. And he does have another obligation already. If you've been feeling poorly for a while, it seems like you should see your doctor and a therapist. OOP, he works mostly remotely, and only very few hours. Like 10 hours a week, 2 of which have to be on-site because of equipment he can't transport home. He usually does all 8 hours at the end of the month, so isn't needed on-site for 3 weeks. I am working with a psychiatrist I can't see very often for various reasons that are mostly money and time. She told me she would rather not have me medicated right away, and constantly stresses the importance of a support system. He is on the autism spectrum, so very bad with words, but good with gestures. That's why I want him here. He doesn't have a clue how to help someone emotionally by text. Can you not go to him? If you're already not going to classes, it would make more sense if you went over there since he has work and other obligations. OOP, I live at home while he lives in a very strict housing facility managed by his work and is not allowed visitors. I would have to get an Airbnb, which I absolutely cannot afford. Also, I'm going to classes because they haven't started yet. They start next week. Whether your husband is with you or with his brother right now is not the real issue. You have clearly been hurting for a long time, and even if your husband did come home, you still need real treatment for acute depression and grieving. Please try to seek treatment or find a support group, even an online group, to deal with your grief. You are not the worst human and wife on the planet. You are a hurt human being who needs help processing your loss. I can't bring myself to call your spouse TA. Yes, you're supposed to put your spouse first when you're married, but in this case, your husband isn't just ditching home to go on vacation. He's helping his brother get set up in a new country. Again, even if he did skip this trip and come home, you would still need, and deserve, additional mental health support to get you through this time. I'm very sorry for your loss. Please be kind to yourself. OOP, this brought tears to my eyes. Thank you. As explained in another comment, I have a psychiatrist's help. She is encouraging me to have my husband around. Also, yeah, no one tells you losing your mom, dad, and sister and ending up in debt would be that brutal on you. He didn't even come to the funeral. I am lost, but appreciate your kind words. I'll try to not be so hard on him. Post 2, October 27th, 22 on r/pregnant. Negative test, weird symptoms. Can I get some mama insight? I don't have mine anymore. This post was removed. Post 3, October 30th, 22 on r/truoffmicist. I'm pregnant with ex-husband's baby. And somehow AP is mad? My wonderful, soon-to-be ex-husband lied to me for months while living with his AP, my ex-best friend. It was lovely to find out that no, his new work building didn't have strict rules. SHE was living with him. He had a work opportunity in another country, so we were living in LDR for a few months. We saw each other recently, had passionate sex, and overall had fun. Until I discovered the affair. Tears and screams and bag packing later, I was home mulling over the situation. I am numb, still numb even after finding out I was pregnant. Here is where it gets good. AP is infertile. Her husband left her recently because of that, and I was her shoulder to cry on. I called ex-husband to tell him about baby, and the high risk of miscarriage. She was next to him. She went ape shit. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. Screamed and cried I had no right to have her man's baby, that I am stealing her life and being a bitch. Oh really? Her relatives are now blowing up my phone calling me horrible spiteful bitch. What? How? Why? Logic gymnastics much? I am so done with everything. 2022 can go eat a dick. I have no one to talk to, so here I am getting this out of my chest. Edit, AP, affair partner LDR, long distance relationship. Denise is the same Denise from my last post. Also, funnily enough, Chad tipped me on the affair. I have a therapist and, following your advice, got a lawyer. Also, please stop telling me to not murder my baby over my bitterness for my husband. My heart is already raw over that hard but necessary decision. I respect your beliefs, so please respect my decision. Comments. OOP, well, I am not a perfect person either. I recently lost my parents and was grieving hard, so I can understand he felt a bit left on the side. But communicating that would have been the adult way to go, not getting knuckles deep in his coworker. He said he was housing her until she gets back on her feet, because her husband just left her. When I pointed out she earns $9,000 a month and it shouldn't be hard to get even a motel with that, he started crying. Bawling. Telling me she meant nothing and I was his world as I was throwing everything into a suitcase. He even grabbed me by the hand and forced me into a hug as I was leaving. I've been home for about a week and I am receiving daily presents and letters throughout the mail about how I'm the love of his life and can't betray our wedding vows like that. Once he heard of the pregnancy, he got a hotel room not far from my home and is sending more and more letters about how we could be the perfect family and nothing happened. I'm putting his gifts in boxes to wrap them and donate them to those in need this Christmas. I haven't opened any. With the phone harassment and home delivery of personal harassment, who needs mental sanity, am I right? Also, talking about it all and realizing I am not going crazy has been a huge relief. My therapist is beside herself, appalled at everything, and even let out a WTF as I was telling her. Sorry, Diane. Post 4, November 1st, 22nd on r/trueoffmcist. Update to I'm pregnant with ex-husband's baby. And somehow AP is mad? Hi Reddit. It's been about 3 days, but these days felt like weeks to me. As I was tossing and turning in my hospital bed, I remembered this account and thought you might want an update. To be frank, I also need to tell someone. I lost my baby. A few hours after posting actually. Avoiding details, and my memory is also hazy, it was gruesome. I won't explain very much, but it was just horrible. For context, I take heart meds for a condition I got from my dad, one of those being blood thinners. When I miscarried, it was flowing, and I honestly thought I would be dying. I was on my knees in pain, and the massive blood loss, coupled with the already severe anemia, made me very dizzy and confused. I called the fire department and managed to stay lucid until they came. I wish this on no one ever, it was traumatizing. Where it gets bad, I don't remember if I mentioned it somewhere on the original post, but my husband came home when he heard of the pregnancy and was staying at the budget hotel on the other side of the road. When he saw the fire trucks pulling to our house, he apparently ran over to ask what was happening to his wife. He followed the ambulance to the hospital, or so he told me, and came in pretending he was my dear old husband being so concerned for me. I didn't need much, just a blood transfusion, iron and their IVs, and some painkiller. They also gave me meds to finish the job and recommended rest. Waking up to find him next to me was a deception? I have no English words to describe how gutted I was when I woke up to his concerned face next to me. We fought. I told him I never wanted to see him again and was serving him papers soon. He said I was his wife, that he loved more than anything in this world and was deeply concerned for. What love when you were living with your affair partner? He pulled out his phone and broke up with Denise on speakerphone, and asked me if I wanted him to make a Facebook post where he tells everyone about his infidelity. I told him he could go fuck himself for all I cared. Every time I wake up, there he is. Tidying up my room, changing the flowers in the vase, peeling my fruit, or bringing me even more boxes of my favorite chocolates, the Fruta di Mare ones. He is constantly here, catering to my every need. The nurses did ask me if I wanted him removed after we argued, but I said no. I don't know why. I feel like somewhere in there is still the kind man I married. Maybe. Maybe not. As I write this, he is sleeping on a wooden chair, arms crossed. As for Denise, she sent me some colorful messages. She heard about my miscarriage from husband, and didn't miss a beat in insulting me, even more, saying that's all I deserve for stealing her man away from her. That I was a racist slut who hated her and her family all along, and she was glad I would never be a mother. It goes without say that I took the mental health initiative to block her and her whole circus. See you in therapy, guys. Homewrecker out. Don't know if I can be vulnerable, but I feel like my heart has been ripped to shreds. Someone on my last post said something to the effect of no one goes to an abortion with a smile on their face, and God, is that true? Even if this baby wasn't expected to last, it hurts. It hurts like crazy. You keep playing the what ifs in your head. I wish it didn't have to be this way. I wish I could welcome a little one into my life. I keep wishing I could just go back to having a small family and a loving husband. I wish I could just forgive and forget. But I won't. And fuck, does it hurt. This is getting too long and boring, sorry about that. I can't thank you enough for all the kind words from every single one of you. Rereading them earlier gave me the clarity to realize I was making the right decision, and I had the strength to do so. Thank you. It's 11 p.m. here. I kicked my husband out of the room earlier. He started talking about going home together and finally trying officially for a kid. I had enough. I asked the nurse, the one who gave me the wrapper, for grapes as a snack. She called security and they escorted him out. I can't move on if he's lingering around. Thanks for all the sweet messages, the concerns, the love, the support, the DMS, everything. You people have a heart of gold, and I hope karma pays it back tenfold. You don't know the positive impact you had on my mental health. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. There are many interesting articles ahead.